Hey David, it's Crispy calling in from Omaha, Nebraska. As the king of stadium development and just all land development related to sports, what are your thoughts on the San Antonio Spurs stadium development? Because boy, oh boy, there seems to be a lot of pushback. Thanks. Love your show.
Thank you for loving the show. Thank you for that accolade. I really have never considered myself the king of anything other than, bowel disorders. But I appreciate that you say I'm the king of stadium development, which I'm not, but I'll take it. Now, you mentioned San Antonio. My question for you, my fine fellow, I was going to say my fine friend. You're not my friend. I'm not your friend. I don't even know who you are. You didn't even leave your name, but you're from Omaha asking about San Antonio, Texas. Love that. Are you aware of what I was doing about 20 years ago in San Antonio, Texas? Is that why you asked the question? Are you aware that I flew to San Antonio, Texas to meet with our old friend Nelson Wolf? There's a name I haven't thought about in a long time because we wanted to move the Marlins to San Antonio. Wink, wink. Never going to happen because we were trying to get a ballpark and we couldn't get a ballpark. So we had to pretend we were relocating and we went to Vegas, San Antonio, Portland. Anyone? Bueller? Do you remember when we did a financing plan with San Antonio of how they were going to build a ballpark? Well, they're trying to build a new arena there, and it's something. Now, let me explain what San Antonio is willing to do. They are trying to figure out how to get $800 million in public money to help pay toward a $1.3 billion Spurs arena. Now, the Spurs, as you may remember, are putting together quite a team that they're trying to get their next dynasty. The Spurs have been, I don't know, Coca, next to the Lakers and Bulls. I would have to say the Spurs are the most successful franchise in the last 50 years. That is quite a statement I'm making, but I'm going to have to say under Popovich, with the number of titles they've won, I don't know. Jordan's Bulls, Jackson and Riley's Lakers, who? It's not the Heat. The Heat have, what do they have, 3 rings? The Heat are in the conversation, but San Antonio is way more successful, and now they've been down, but Wembanyama, they've got a new coach, Wembanyama. This is their moment. They need a new arena and they're trying to get 800 million. So what you do when you're trying to get public money is you got to figure out the system that you're going to use to get it. And very often you use these zones, these special zones that I used to call the BFZs. The BFZs are the but for zones. And it's always the worst argument, but I would make it with such conviction. And I would say, but for the Marlins Park in this area, there'd be nobody here. There'd be no tax revenue generated. So do me a favor, draw a line around Marlins Park, extend it out a couple blocks for any sort of expansion, and let us take all the revenue, tax revenue that's generated to the municipality and use it to help me build the ballpark. Because, but for the ballpark, you wouldn't have the tax revenue. Think about the insanity of the argument. People wake up on a Saturday and say, I'm going to the ball game. If there were no ballpark there, they'd wake up on a Saturday morning and say, I'm going back to sleep. That's the theory. The theory is that, but for the ballpark, the people who are spending money in the ballpark area on a game or a hot dog or a piece of merch would take that money, stuff it under their mattress, and not spend it on anything else. But every time someone brought up that argument to me, I would ignore it. I would talk right over it, right through it, and I would say, what do you mean? You're going to compare someone going to a game, going to a movie, or someone going to a game, going out and buying something from a retail shop? Forget it. If someone's not going to a game, your community is losing out, because they're just going to do nothing. And frankly, no one's going to want to visit your town. No one's going to want to move their business to your town if they can't wake up on a Saturday and go to a ballpark. That was always the argument we would use. So you've got those zones. You also have other stuff that San Antonio is looking at, that other teams. San Antonio is doing nothing here, my fine acquaintance, that other cities are not doing. The old venue tax. That's my favorite. I love that for sure. It's some people call it a ticket tax. A venue tax is a tax that people who attend the venue are paying on certain things. When you look at your ticket price, as an example, we give you an all-in price. We don't tell you what is allocated toward food, what's allocated towards a tax revenue stream. When we were threatened by Miami-Dade County, how about a ticket tax? We would say, hey, if we could charge more money for tickets, we would. Believe you me. A ticket tax is taking money away from us that we need to keep a competitive team. Venue taxes are very similar. The question is always asked, is money going to be used for renovation? We've covered this on Nothing Personal. Or is money going to be used for a brand new arena? And then the question is money going to come from a county like in San Antonio and from the city of San Antonio? And can it be done without a vote? That is critical. You do not want a public vote. The city of San Antonio has come forward and said, hey, we could give you about $500 million. And guess what? We don't need a public vote. That is a huge bit of news. The question is, will a financing plan come together in San Antonio? Will they put together the county, the city, and the team in a relationship where everyone is a go? We had the county of Miami-Dade, we had the city of Miami, and the team. We had to get those three partners together, and it took, wait for it, it took 7 years of negotiating in order to make those 3 legs of a tripod all buttress Marlins Park. And guess what? Marlins Park, here we are 10 years later, and they've still got issues unresolved that are unresolved because I didn't resolve them. For all the people watching in Florida right now, used to be a big number, but now that the show has grown, the percentage of people in Florida has shrunk, which the math makes sense. But you're going to be hearing much more about Marlins Park and the arguments that are going to take place between the public and the private as they try to figure out how to maintain Marlins Park going forward, because yours truly did not put in the agreement, which is public and available right behind me or on a computer near you. If you've got the Wi-Fi and ability to download, you'll see that there's certain things that are left out of stadium agreements. It's called keeping something silent. It's called we'll worry about it later. What you can't worry about later, and what San Antonio realizes, is you can't worry about the initial cost of construction. That is, at the end of the day, all you really need to solve for. The rest can take care of itself, though you don't want it to be that way, but it can. It's like, again, Coca, it's like your own life. There are many things that you can blow off, procrastinate until they disappear, but there's certain things that if you don't take care of right now, it's acute and it becomes worse. Think of it like a staph infection. That is what it is to put together a stadium deal. And we'll see what's going to happen here, whether or not there is this tax increment reinvestment zone in San Antonio, whether they figure out the venue tax, whether there will be a continued state-sanctioned tax zone, all of which throws in money into the pot, and that money is used to pay the debt service on bonds, meaning you go to a bank or you go to the public, but for purpose of this discussion, don't worry about it, and you say, I need to borrow $1 billion. Oh, that'll cost me $100 million per year. That's 10%, man. That's way too high. But just easy math. How am I going to get that money? All you're doing is math constantly when you're doing a stadium deal. When you're developing the deal and you're doing construction documents and you're figuring out what's going to go on around the ballpark, how you're going to hit your projections, that's different than how you're going to finance the construction. Two different things. Remember, I told you earlier in the show what a president of a team does? Many different things. Getting a ballpark done involves many different aspects, from speaking to a clubby about where the bathroom should be in the clubhouse, to speaking to your head of human resources about how the offices should be laid out in the ballpark, to speaking with your finance people about how you're going to pay for your part of the ballpark, to putting together decks to go to banks to borrow money. All of it's happening at once, baby.